Hello, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to create a template to upload individual edited letters that can then sort of join together to make a word. So let's get started, and the first thing we need to do is to make a template for the word. So let's go into File and New. This is quite an old version of Photoshop. You will have an updated version. It's essentially the same, but there will be differences in how things look. But what you need to do is make the height 15 centimeters, and then the width of each letter 10. So for example, if you had a 2-letter word, your width would be 20. If it was a 3-letter word, 30, 4-letter word, 40. Because I'm going to do the word graphic, or I'm going to do part of the word graphic, but it would be graphic. That's 7 letters, and that would be 70 centimeters. Okay. So make sure your resolution is 300, and that's pixels per inch, and then OK. Now it may be that it's been defaulted and it's black. Okay, so it's up to you if you prefer to upload your photographs on a white template or on a black template. What I would say though is just have some sort of contrast between it. If I want to change it back, all I have to do is go to this double arrow here, click it so white is on top, go up to my little icon, which is a paint bucket, and change it back. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to start uploading. Well, I'm going to start editing and then uploading individual letters into the template. Now you may have taken your photographs. If you have taken them with a DSLR and the DSLR camera was set to RAW and JPEG, you will have 2 versions of the same photograph. The CR2s are RAW files, and the others obviously are JPEGs. Now, a RAW file is where the camera it sort of keeps everything, all the shades and all the tones that the camera took. So JPEGs basically are smaller files. They don't take up as much space, but they get rid of all the kind of the extreme tones. So you only get the sort of grayer tones in the middle. Whereas if you keep a CR2, you get everything that the camera took, and it means you can rescue your even dark photographs. You can bring them back. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a raw file. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to drag it into Photoshop, and then you'll see here you'll have now yours will look different to this. You'll have like slightly different tools that you can use, but essentially so a lot of them will be the same. So make it sharper, darker, make it the whole photograph lighter, darker. So you've got quite a lot of options here. I'm just going to desaturate it a bit because I'm not really fussed on that colour wood. So I'm just going to desaturate it, and then as soon as you've kind of got it into, like the sort of tones and the shades you like, then all you need to do is open it up, and then that will open up in Photoshop. And then at this point you need to crop it. So you go into your crop tool, which is this one. You put in 10 by 15. Now if you put it in the wrong way around, you can change it back. Yours will probably have a little arrow in the middle. Okay, so back we go. And then what I'm looking for is a kind of interesting crop. So what this is the A out of the word graphic. So it's quite abstract, but you can see that's your A. So what I'm trying to work out is, do I need that bar on the bottom? I probably don't, because that's a bit... Yeah, I think so. Let's see what happens if I bring this in a bit. Maybe we just have that as the A. That might be better, actually. Yeah, I think we could go for that. What's important is it's quite sort of it's abstract and slightly unusual. What we don't want is a big kind of box with a letter in the middle of it. You want to do really interesting cropping. So once you've decided on the crop, then you can tick it, and then you need to size it, and that's really important. Okay, so you need to go to image, and image size. Now your template is in centimeters, so we want your letters in centimeters as well. And remember, you are going to be 10 for width, 15 for height, and 300 pixels per inch for your resolution, exactly the same resolution as your template. So we OK that. We go to the drag tool, we click and drag it, and you keep pressing the mouse and don't let your finger come off the mouse until you move over to the other file, and then you literally drag it down and drop it. Can you see, because you've saved it at the same resolution, which is 300, and you've saved it 15 centimeters high and 10 across, it'll fit in perfectly. Okay. So the next thing you need to do is so I'm going to go back and get the G for graphic. So I'll drag that into Photoshop. Just play around with some of the editing. And then when I'm happy with it, open it. Crop 10 by 15. Now, before you can start moving this around, you have to click on the corner and kind of move it around a bit. And as soon as you do that, you can then move the image around as well, okay? But you have to kind of click on the corner first. Now, what I don't want is I don't want the G, right in the middle of the shot. So I'd rather do something more abstract with it. So I might just crop it that way, I think. Okay. And then into image and image size, centimeters, 10 by 15, resolution 300 pixels per inch. OK that. Drag tool, click and drag. Wait until it changes. Don't take your finger off the mouse. And drag and drop. Now, because G is the first word in graphic, it's going to go into place there. Now I need to create a space for the R because obviously it's GRA. Let me just take that back. Now if you want to move something you've dropped in earlier, let me move the interface over a bit, you'll see over here that you've got different layers. So this second layer just controls the G. But this first layer controls the A. So let's drop it over here for a minute. Okay. And then we've got enough space, and then we can move this back. So finally, now let me show you something different. If you were to just have JPEGs, say the camera wasn't set to RAW and JPEG, or you forgot to set it, and you only took them in JPEG, then when you drop the JPEG into Photoshop, you won't have the sliders, the raw sliders, it'll just appear like this. So then you've got a whole bunch of other tools in Photoshop that you can edit it with. So they're all, you can get them from all in here, but actually let's go to layer here, a new adjustment layer, and they're all in here really, brightness, contrast, you know, you've got to play around with them. So sometimes, let's have a look, we'll just go into curves. And we can do something like this, which kind of changes it. Let's have a look, go back to image and sorry, layer and new adjustment layer. We can do channel mixer, which gives you options like this, but you don't, but to be honest with you, I'm not a great lover of like doing everything the same colour and these kind of over the top colours. I'd rather they look better if you just keep them, you know, more natural looking. So for example, if I didn't want that, I would just click it and drag it down into, can you see that little trash, not the big trash one, but the small one here. Okay, but you've got to sort of play around with it and see what you can do. Maybe hue and saturation. Make it black and white if you want to. But to be honest, I think you're better off if you've got the raw file, the CR2 file, using the CR2, the raw sliders, because they are a lot better and they are designed more for editing photographs. Now, if you haven't though, if you didn't take them in RAW and you've got them in JPEG and you do all these slightly different things to them, then you will have to flatten them down before moving them into the template. So what you can do is go to layer, just flatten it. Okay, and once it's flattened, once it's all one layer, you can then go into your drag tool. I'm sorry, you have to forget about this first. So you've got to go to image, image size, centimeters. And then you can drag it in. So drag, wait for it to change, drop. So we go to G, the R, and remember, you're not going to be able to change and move this one unless you're on the correct layer. So back to layer 1. So you essentially carry on like this until you filled in the whole of the word graphic, and also the word design, or whatever word you are constructing in this way. Now at this point, you have to imagine, I'm not going to do all of it, but then you would need again to flatten it down to one layer. So layer and flatten. And then what I would do is I would put a very, very thin black outline around it. And this will be especially good if you're putting anything, see where there's a light section here at the end. Now if you're going to put that against a white background on a sway, it'll just merge in and it won't look very good. So you want a very, very thin black background to go around it. So what you do is you go to these lines here, this little kind of drop down menu here, and duplicate the layer, and OK. Then go down to FX, then go to stroke, change this to inside, and really you can make this 1 or 2 pixels, so let's make it 2 pixels for now, and OK. So now you can't see, but there is a very thin black outline around this. So I'm just going to change this back to white. And there you can see you've then got an outline. Okay, then the last thing you need to do is to just make sure again it's just one layer. So it can be, if you go, you don't have to do flatten layer, you can do merge down or you can do merge visibles. Just long as all the eyes are there, then you can do merge visible. Okay, then you do a final check. So this should be 15 centimeters high and 70 across. Back to centimeters. Now you don't really want it to be, because 70 centimeters is quite a long, you know, it's a big kind of measurement to get onto your sway. So all I would do is I would probably maybe bring it down and make it maybe 30. Now you can see I've changed that to 30, and because these are locked, so you can unlock and you can lock them, but because this one is got a lock on it, it will automatically make the height the right ratio. But you must have the 300 pixels per inch. Okay, so once we OK that, you'll go to File, Save As, call it what you want. Save it as a JPEG, so in the format it'll give you lots of different versions. Just go for the straightforward JPEG and save. And then that is fine then to upload onto your sway. Okay, and then that is the end of the tutorial.